All right, so you know how we usually start these explainers, right? We've got articles, data, research, all sorts of sources. But what happens when we have nothing, like a totally blank page? How in the world do you build an explainer from scratch?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're actually pulling back the curtain and showing you our process. The source material for this explainer, it's literally our own producer's notes. We're going to use them to walk you through the blueprint we follow to turn that blank page into a story that actually makes sense.
So here's the game plan, the 5 key steps we take every single time. First, we ask the right questions. Then, we figure out the narrative. After that, it's about choosing our specific path, crafting the flow, and finally, putting it all together in the final blueprint. Let's dive in.
Okay, section 1, the first question. And honestly, this is probably the most important part. Before we even think about making a slide, we have to stop and ask, why are we doing this? And who are we doing this for? Everything, and I mean everything, is built on top of this foundation. So the first big question is always, what's the one single thing we need you to walk away with? What's our main goal here? Are we trying to clear up a common myth? Or maybe break down a super complex process? Or, hey, maybe we're sharing a brand new discovery. Nailing down that one core idea, well, that becomes our North Star for the whole project. And then there's the other side of that coin, which is just as important. Who are you? Who's on the other end of this? Because the answer to that question changes everything. It tells us the tone to use, how complex we can get, how deep we need to go. It's the difference between guiding someone who's just curious versus having a conversation with a real expert. All right, so once we've got our why and our who locked down, it's time to find the narrative. Because let's be real, a big pile of facts is, well, it's boring. Information on its own isn't enough. It needs to be shaped into a story to grab your attention and actually stick in your brain.
And we usually think about it in terms of 4 main paths we can take. You've got the classic problem-solution story, perfect for talking about new inventions. Then there's the chronological journey, which is obviously great for history. You can do the myth-busting format to tackle those pesky misunderstandings. Or you can do a thematic deep dive, where we just explore all the different sides of one big idea. Now we're at section 3, choosing our path. And this is so important. The structure we pick isn't just some boring box we dump the facts into. No way. It's actually a tool that completely shapes how you process and even feel about the information. Just look at this for a second. Let's say we have the same topic. If we use a problem-solution structure, we're building up the suspense, leading you to that big aha moment. But if we choose myth-busting instead, well, then we're creating this feeling of discovery, of peeling back the layers of a lie. Same facts, totally different journey for you, the viewer. Okay, so we've got the big picture sorted out. Our purpose, our narrative arc. Now it's time to zoom in, to get down to the nitty-gritty, the order of the slides themselves. Think of it like composing music. It's all about creating a rhythm, building tension, and making sure every note, or in this case, every slide, hits with maximum impact. We've got a bunch of tricks up our sleeve for this. We might build an argument brick by brick, or put 2 competing ideas head to head. But honestly, my absolute favorite, especially for getting you hooked right from the start, is a little something we call the 1-2 punch. So let's see this thing in action. It's super effective because it plays on how our brains are wired. The whole idea is simple. You start with a really thought-provoking question, and then you immediately hit them with a surprising, hard-hitting fact. So, step 1 is the hook, the question. What this does is it opens up what some people call a curiosity gap in your mind. It's like your brain suddenly has this itch it desperately needs to scratch. You can't help it. You immediately want the answer. You're leaning in, waiting for it. And then, bam, here comes the punch. You follow up that question with something just like this. Just a single, stark number. No explanation yet. It's unexpected, it satisfies that curiosity we just created, and just like that, you're hooked. You have to know more. Which brings us to our final section, the last piece of the blueprint. This is the very last strategic call we make before a single word of descript gets written. And it might sound small, but it's important. Do we, or do we not, use an agenda slide at the start? We've actually got a pretty simple rule for this. We call it the agenda rule. Here's the deal. If we're tackling a really complex topic with, say, 4 or more big sections, then yeah, an agenda is super helpful. It's like a roadmap for you. But if we're telling a really strong, straightforward story with just a couple of parts, we skip it. Why?
to keep the momentum going and, not spoil the ending.
So if there's one thing you take away from all this, it's this. None of this is by accident. Every single choice is intentional. From that very first question we ask ourselves to the order of the slides, structure is absolutely everything. It's all designed with one goal in mind, to make information clear, engaging, and something you'll actually remember. And that really leaves us with one last thought, a question for you to ponder. If you have the right structure, the right story, and a clear reason for telling it, can any topic, no matter how complicated or dry it seems on the surface, be turned into a story that people genuinely connect with? What do you think?